Hello, hello, hello. Miss Ellen's here too. She just likes to make a grand entrance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the talented, the bright, literally
very bright.
Ellen Alston. Everybody, Ellen Alston.
I had to close doors.
Closed doors. Okay. We don't have the choir bleeding into our
Yes. This will be not an analogy. This will be something that I don't think you're aware of. Did you ever hear of the TV show Laugh-In?
Laugh-In?
Laugh-In.
No. Turn off the microphone.
Okay. Hello there, Carla Gedman.
How are you guys?
Hi.
Good. How are you?
Good.
So I'm getting ready to tell Stephen about the show Laugh-In. And why do you think that is?
That's your dress.
Exactly.
Right off the bat.
Goldie Hawn.
Well, now who was the one with the dark hair?
Ruth Buzzy?
No.
Lily Tomlin.
No, there was another one. But she's the one that reminds me of you. I'll think of her name.
Okay.
He can pick that up probably on,
Google it.
YouTube.
well, yeah, probably
YouTube.
on YouTube, but I'm sure it's on this cable channel.
Yeah. Google it. Let me know who I am.
You like that dress on purpose?
I did. I wanted this dress on purpose. I want to wear every single color that my friend Carla won't wear. All at once.
Oh, I wear them, just not to church.
Just on the golf course.
Yes, or walking, or what have you.
Yes.
Not to church. You'll learn.
I will. Well, Laugh-In was a show in the 60s. And it was irreverent back then.
Oh.
It was a show that I think if it were on TV today, there'd be a lot of people quite upset about it. Because
Joanne Worley.
Joanne Worley. Okay, I'll take Joanne Worley. It was the kind of show that they talked about a lot of things that were happening in politics and in the world, and they made light of some of it, but it was very controversial. And but it was very hippies kind of appearance. That's why people think this dress looks Laugh-In. Like people of my generation, old people like me, have all said today that it looks like I should be on Laugh-In. But you should definitely try. You should. Don't you? Don't you? Your parents can. But have a look at what that's about, because and so many, like every single person in that went.
Is there like a modern version of it? Something close to it?
Family Guy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but I mean, it was live it wasn't animated.
Oh, gotcha.
But Family Guy maybe. What's the other one? South Park.
Oh.
Those types of subjects where you go, ooh, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, you know? Yeah, kind of that sort of humor. Do you want to start with?
Yeah, let's do our commercial.
Yeah.
I'll do our 3 chants here on the piano, and then we'll sing the words that are on the screen.
Okay. Is that a G? That's a G, yay for me. Be still and know that God is here. Be still and know that Jesus is Lord. Be still and know God's word is here.
The first time you sing in a day can be kind of scary.
Yes, it can.
Especially with the allergies.
Oh.
Ooh.
You have a white car now instead.
Well, it's yellow.
Yeah,
It's
ours
yellow
is
covered
light
in
green.
pollen. It's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Now, do you have any like evergreen trees near you, or
Yeah.
is it?
Yep.
That pollen is.
There's a tree in our backyard. Well, actually, it was cut down last summer. But one time, I threw a frisbee into the tree.
Yeah.
Sully and I were just throwing the frisbee, and I threw it right into the tree, and a cloud of pollen came out of the tree. It was disgusting.
Oh.
My eyes, like I could just feel my eyes swelling up. Like,
Oh. Yeah, we have a really tall Norfolk pine tree, and it's like I think it's about 70 years old. Once wind blew and you should see this yellowish green stuff. I'm like, oh, that's going into my lungs. That's a lot.
Yeah.
It really is. Now, do you take allergy medicine?
I do, yeah.
I know.
Every day.
Oh, gosh.
Have to.
Yeah. You know, Thursday was a special day, sort of, in the church. But we weren't here on Thursday. Were you here Thursday? Did you come to church Thursday, like to go to worship or anything?
No, I know that some of my friends went to church for like an evening, and like an evening worship service, like almost like a Vespers.
Yeah,
or
where did they go?
Compline.
Was it like a Catholic church or was it a Lutheran
No, I don't
church?
think so. I don't even know. I just know they posted about it
Because
on the Facebooks.
on the Facebooks,
Mhm.
because what we talk about, what we're going to talk about today for church, some churches don't even cover it.
Yeah.
Or like, it was Thursday, so some people talked about it last Sunday, but our church is going to talk about it this Sunday, and it's called Ascension. If you ascend a flight of stairs, what are you doing?
Ascend, you go up.
Right.
Descend.
Descend is down.
Yeah.
So ascension, like we've been talking an awful lot about how after Easter, Jesus was able to come back and visit with friends, disciples. He appeared in a number of places.
Yes.
You know, he appeared on the shore of the lake. He came and visited the disciples in the upper room. He was able to meet people on the road to a town called Emmaus. This is the time that Jesus ascended into heaven, and that was the last people saw of him. And it was, I mean, it wasn't a Thursday back then, but, you know, but if you count the number of days after Easter, it would have been Thursday. So
how many days? Do you know how many days off the top of your head it was?
No,
it says?
I should.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Look at it.
Okay. Yeah, Google it.
How many days after Easter did Jesus ascend into heaven? You finished. And people ask this question.
Yes.
Oh, it 40.
40.
It's 40.
Of course it was 40. Of course
That's
it
a
was
very
40.
common.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we say 40. We
Right.
acknowledge it's 40. Was it actually 40 calendar days like we have today? We don't know.
That.
But
We
this
don't
is
know.
when we acknowledge it,
Right.
40 days.
Yep.
And it probably was about that, we can guess.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we really don't know, as you said, they didn't really have like 24 hours. They based things on sun and moon cycles.
And we know that we don't have 365 days a year every single year because
we have like
the
365 and a quarter days.
You know,
yeah. And it's because people needed to find a way to be organized and to put things.
I always think of that when I hear numbers and years and days in the Bible. I always think, you're probably around that.
Right, like if somebody lived to be 365 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe years were months then, or maybe they were like half a year.
And when the story's told 200 years after Jesus, you know,
numbers
might have gotten a little mixed up.
Yes. So, but when we hear about ascension, this was like the time that Jesus was raised into heaven in a cloud, not of pollen. We don't know. Could have been. And
that's why everyone was crying.
Yes, that's what
it was.
It was allergies.
Oh.
But Jesus was lifted into heaven, and you know, so often I think we hear papers over there of these cloud moments.
Do you need papers?
Yeah, no, I can.
Okay.
We hear the cloud moments. You know, Moses went up and got the 10 best ways to live, the 10 commandments, and there was a cloud. And when Moses was taken up into heaven, there was a cloud. And when Jesus, when he was transfigured, when his disciples saw him, and this cloud surrounded him, and they saw Moses, and they saw Elijah, there was a cloud. So there's like these cloud moments. And ascension is when Jesus was lifted up and taken into heaven, and they saw his body go up in a cloud. That's not how like human people die.
Yes, if you have a family member who dies, we really don't, nobody
No.
sees them go
No.
up.
But I think maybe people were allowed to see that with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
People were allowed to have told that story about Jesus just to help us understand that
Right.
once you go to heaven, whether it's up or out or all around,
Mm-hmm.
that you aren't seen again, that
Yes.
your body isn't seen again, that you go to heaven.
Yes.
And I like the artwork today. On
I was going to
the
ask
bulletin.
what it was. What is this?
It says, it's
I-
Jan Richardson, the artist that we've been featuring on our bulletin, says, blessing them, he withdrew. That's what she called this one. So when Jesus withdrew, when he ascended, when he left, he blessed the disciples and then he withdrew. And I just think the way the way Ms. Richardson sweep that look up off.
Yeah.
You know, is that
part of a larger image? Just because sometimes Peter grabs a zoomed in version of it, so I wonder if it's a larger image.
Well, he has detail of, so
Yeah,
I think
detail.
that
It is, yeah.
it's
Mhm.
part of it. And just the way that she envisioned that.
What's the image called? I'm not
It's
going to pull it up
called,
because we don't have the rights for that. But
blessing them, he withdrew. Yeah, it's the Jan Richardson. It's just, to me, and like one of our, we have.
That's right from Luke.
Because they're reading.
Then he led them out as far as Bethany, and lifting up his hands, he blessed them. He withdrew from them and was carried up into heaven. Is that what we're reading today from Luke?
Yeah, Luke 24, 44 to
That's
53.
it, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and then the Old Testament reading is Acts 1, or New Testament is Acts 1 to 11.
Yeah.
So it's reading from the Acts of the Apostles.
And the letters of Paul.
The
Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians.
Paul.
I was going to say, I think there's two. I think there's an epistle
Yeah,
and a gospel.
there is, Ephesians.
Yes, Ephesians.
Wow.
We're doing 3 scripture readings.
And they're all from the New Testament.
Yeah, how about that?
How about that?
How about that?
And the Acts of the Apostles, that kind of says after Jesus ascended, it was the disciples' job and the apostles. The disciples were the followers of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
They were like his students. The apostles were a lot of disciples were apostles, but then there were others too, and they went out to teach and to carry on the message. So the Acts of the Apostles, it's like after Jesus was gone from earth, it's all the things that everyone did to help to continue to tell us stories. Wow. So friends, we can't show you this because it's called a copyright infringement. We only have permission to use this part. But the rest of this artwork, is this near the bottom, Mr. D? And then it's up?
Yeah, it must be near the bottom.
Okay, so this is kind of at the bottom of the piece of artwork. And you could look this up on your own. We just can't put it out on the internet because it's not, we don't own it. So we got permission to use this part. But we didn't get permission to use the whole thing. And so we have to stick to the promises that we made. But a lot of wow, 3 readings today. And that means they all interrelate.
Yes.
So the Acts of the Apostles, Luke, and Ephesians, that was one of Paul's letters to the people of Ephesus, therefore Ephesians. It's all related to that. And Pastor Austin's sermon title is Eyewitnesses, Heart Witnesses. So I wonder if you and I are heart witnesses to the ascension.
Because we didn't
see it. So we're not eyewitnesses. We didn't see it. But maybe because we know it happened because we trust the people who told us about it, we believe that in our hearts. So we can witness that with our hearts, maybe.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I think that kind of makes
Heart
sense.
witnesses.
Yeah, heart witnesses. Is there what hymn are we
looking
at today?
Hymn. We're looking at I think it might be the hymn after the sermon. Hallelujah, sing to
Hallelujah,
Jesus.
sing to Jesus.
Is that after the sermon?
Yep, that's right
response?
after the sermon. Yep,
Yeah.
so that's how we respond to God's word, by saying, Hallelujah! Hooray!
Yeah, so
This
this
is
one,
awesome.
this one, the tune is Herfordle. Herfordle. I always want to say Herfordle, but it's Heferdle.
Hi, Fridol.
Hi-Ferdal, there you go.
And you'd say, Hi, Fridol.
Hi-Ferdal, that's an easy way to remember
Hi,
it.
Fridol.
And the meter is 8787 D for Donnelly.
Yes.
No, it's
Difficult?
8787. Difficult?
Difficult?
Double.
Double.
And that's really standard. 8787 is the
Woo.
most common.
This-
And this one's a very common tune. It's used many times in the hymnal.
And it's old. 1866.
Oh, is that the text is from 1866?
Yeah, and the music's from 1831.
Old.
Well, not old, Jesus old.
Roland Hugh Pritchard.
Pritchard.
Pritchard wrote it.
And William Shackles and Dix.
Just like that.
Yeah.
This is what it sounds like. We'll sing the whole thing through. We'll just do the first verse today, and then we'll do it the second time if you want to sing along at home. It goes like this.
But like,
A lot, yeah.
his the scepter, his the throne, his the victory alone.
It rhymes.
And songs of peaceful Zion thunder like a mighty flood.
That's a way to describe a song.
Isn't it?
Songs of peaceful Zion thunder.
That's really cool.
Like a mighty flood.
Like a mighty flood.
Hey, sing along with us this
Okay.
time. Even if you only get the hallelujah, that happens in the first and the third line. Here we go.
Wow. So Jesus, out of every nation, has redeemed us by his blood. So that's when he forgave us our sins.
Yeah.
And redeemed us, saved us, which is just really cool. There's another hymn today called Go to the World, Go into All the Earth. So that kind of sounds like us being sent out, right? It's telling us.
Yeah,
like,
that's the one. I know this one as well. But it goes.
There's so many hymns written to that tune.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But that one, I think, is that the last one? Yeah. So that's one of those that's like
Sending you
you
off.
out. And some people say, oh, we're going out. Nope. We're being sent out because we're
Yeah.
responding to God's word, being sent after hearing to go share that with other people. So that hits that. Did you know that today we have meetings? Did you ever have meetings at school?
Oh yeah, there's a meetings thing happening today.
Yeah. Did you have like teacher meetings at school
I
back in the
had
day?
so many teacher meetings at school, and in my job right now, I have lots of meetings.
Do you?
I get to log in for them.
Yeah.
And you can log into this meeting too.
Yes.
But yeah,
Lots of meetings. And back when I was in corporate America and we didn't have Zoom, We always had to be in person for meetings.
Yeah.
And sometimes the meetings are really interesting. And I would say the majority of the meetings that I had to sit through were not interesting. Or maybe the first 10 minutes, and then it just goes on. Can't wait for Bueller. We have meetings today at church. Meetings, the whole church. Because the church, we have what's called the annual meetings. We have the meeting of the corporation. What? And then we have the congregational meeting. Our church has to kind of act like a business, sort of.
Yeah.
Like we can't just do stuff on our own. Like you can't have your senior pastor or your organist or your children's ministry people make decisions that aren't impacted by somebody else.
Yeah.
And we also, when we have money that comes into the church and ways we have to spend it, that has to be decided by the corporation of the church. So one of our meetings today after worship, right after worship, is the corporation, the meeting of the corporation, where we talk about the money that we brought in this past year through donations and contributions, and we'll see a report of how that money was spent. And then we look at that report and we vote to receive that report. We have a chance to ask questions. Why did we, maybe someone will say, why did we spend so much money on this and we didn't spend it on that? Or do we really spend that much money to buy electricity for the church and things like that?
And what are those giant construction vehicles outside right now?
Right, that'll
And
be
how do I get on one? I mean,
Yes.
I go on one.
Yeah.
There's giant construction
Pastor
vehicles
Austin
outside of
wants
the
to
church
ride
right
one
now.
of those cherry pickers. She wants to go up one of the lifts.
Is it for the roof? Are they inspecting
Yes.
the roof?
No, we're getting a whole new roof.
So the inspection's already done. They're doing it.
Millions.
They're working on it right
Yes.
now.
Yep,
Oh,
they're
wow.
starting to work on it. So
Wow, I didn't realize we were that far.
all summer long, it's going to be happening in the
Oh,
fall, and they're going to power wash. It's going to be noisy, but next year at the annual meeting, people are going to see how much money it costs to fix the roof. Like right now, we've been talking about it, but this time next year, we'll look at that report and say, woo,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money.
I know for a house to get if you have a medium-sized house, it's going to cost you $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 to get a new roof. So imagine what a church that's the size of 20 houses would cost.
And this is a slate roof.
Slate.
And they did investigate, and they looked and they compared the cost of a slate roof versus the other roofing material that's available now, and this roof has lasted for like 100 years.
Yeah, that's the benefit of it.
That's the benefit of it.
It's expensive. But
Yeah,
it lasts
so
a
we
long
haven't had to
time.
replace our roof in 100 years, but I mean, you and I have both seen where water leaks into
Oh, yeah.
places. We've had it leaking in ceilings, down walls. There's the only way to fix that long-term problem now is to put a
Yeah.
new roof on. And that costs a lot of money. And it's not like we can, let's just sell some Bibles. You know,
Do a Bible sale.
Yeah, let's have a bake sale and a Bible sale. It relies on people to contribute money to the
Yeah.
church. So at the corporate meeting, we take a look at that and we see how much money comes in donations. And sometimes we go, oh my gosh, that's all we brought in donations. So we have to go into our savings, sort of, to fix it. The other meeting we have is the meeting of the congregational meeting.
Oh.
So in the congregational meeting, we're going to vote on new elders. We're going to vote on deacons because there's a nominating committee that went out and found people and talked to them and asked, would you be willing to serve God and the church in this way? And then we get a vote in that. And we have a chance, like we can do all of our votes by yay and nay for that. But we do get a chance to vote.
On a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And then they'll
Or-
pass out papers and you'll
Well, the
get to-
papers come later.
Well, then later.
If
Yeah.
somebody nominates someone from the floor, meaning,
Yeah, you need to say it.
yeah, we've already got all of the nominations, and then they say, oh, but I would like my friend over here to serve as a deacon, we could add that person's name. And
As long as they've
then,
already been asked and are willing to serve.
right. And
There's
then,
rules.
there's a really big vote that happens today. And we can't
This
say.
one's on paper.
This one's on paper, and we can't say this person's name yet because this person's church doesn't know
Yeah.
that this person is thinking about leaving that church and coming to this church. We've had this happen like when Pastor Todd went to a new church in Buffalo. Our church, they voted for Pastor Todd, but we didn't know yet he was leaving.
Yeah.
And so this person who's here today, some people got a chance to meet yesterday at an event from 4 to 5 o'clock.
I was here.
And I was on the airplane. And then this person will have a chance to be part of our service today. And then during our meeting, our church will have an opportunity to vote on whether we receive this person and we accept God's call to this person to be our next associate pastor for missions and campus ministry. And there's a whole committee of people who looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and prayed to God and talked, and every week they met and asked God to direct a person to our church that would fill this role. And they believe that God is calling this person, so today we have a chance to vote on that person. Yeah. And that's the paper vote. That's the paper vote. And then the person then leaves the room when we vote, and then we look at all the votes. And then the person can then say, I accept the congregation's call or not. Mm-hmm. If, let's say, 50% of the people say yes and 50 say no, which wouldn't happen, the person can look and say, only 50% are supporting me. Oops, I'm not feeling right about this. Chances are almost everyone's going to say yes to this person because this committee has worked like crazy, has interviewed tons of people, has met with this person, has met with this person's contacts, everything, and says, oh man, we're sure. And I trust, like our committee was Rob Anderson, Laura Duncan, Tim Engelman, Bob Lutholtz, Dan Potter, Brooklyn and Hudson's dad, Bob Reppy, Melissa Reichener, Vanessa and Nico's mom, Ji-Yoon Song, that's Aria and Ellie's mom, and Mary Margaret Stamey. I trust those people to make good choices for our church. So I see no reason why we wouldn't accept that person's call. But anyway, that's an important part of the meeting today, and you can do it online if you can't be here in person.
Yep, and members, they'll have a
link
in their email this morning.
Right, yeah, because you can't just be like somebody down the street voting.
Just for the members.
Yeah, just for the members of the church, which is why the kids don't vote yet, because they're not, I mean, the kids who've been confirmed, absolutely they're voting, which is really cool. Like some of them, this will be their first time to vote for a pastor.
That's really neat.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
And that's just part of, people say, what does being a member do? That's one of the things being a member does for you. So, there we are.
Let's finish with Jesus Loves Me.
Let's. Sure, and their names are Darius and Mike. And Mike does kind of what we do at First Presbyterian Church of Atlanta.
How fun!
And Darius, who was talking to Laura, my daughter, also has done sustainability and water purification and treatment. He was an environmental.
So you just become best friends? Is that what you said to them?
Well, it was crazy because the restaurant was crowded. Laura and I got up earlier than we usually do to have breakfast. We rarely do that kind of thing. We thought we're just going to go there and sit. Of all the tables in the room, they chose to sit with us.
How about that?
45 minutes of conversation. And it was something like my family usually just does this whole eye roll, like here goes mom making friends with strangers again. But even Laura said, oh my gosh, that was meant to be. Yeah. It was a God coincidence. It was a divine thing. But I said, be sure, to watch us, and I'm going to watch their stuff too. They have some incredible things they do with their art program down there in Atlanta.
Cool.
And
Okay.
yeah, they feed 130 people a day in the homeless community that come to their church. And one of the coolest things
A day?
A day. A day.
Per day.
Per day. And Mr. D, here's one really cool thing that I learned that I want to learn more about. They're a community mailbox. So, the people who live in their community who are homeless, who don't have a permanent address, list their church as the address.
Oh.
And every
mail comes
day
there.
they can come in and they sign in with their name, and someone goes back to the mailroom and brings them their mail. So if they're getting government assistance checks, or if they're applying for a job, or whatever, they have a permanent address.
Cool.
And there's hundreds of people who use that there. So anyway, I learned some new things yesterday that got me thinking there's so many methods and ways for growth here. But God put those people at our table yesterday. It was absolutely meant to be. So we shared the Pittsburgh love with people from Atlanta, and vice versa.
Love Atlanta. Atlanta's okay. Just kidding, love Atlanta. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.